The fourth Marvel Legends Haslab project is finally live, and it's Giant Man. Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. And in this video, we're going to talk about Marvel Legends Haslab. So today, Friday, 8th of September 2023, the Marvel Legends team went live and revealed to us their fourth Marvel Legends Haslab project. And it is, of course, Giant Man. Now this came as no surprise to anyone. There was a lot of people that had guessed and assumed and all that kind of stuff and done theories around what the project was going to be. And with the year being a big one for the anniversary of the Avengers, Giant Man was an obvious choice. Now, following last year's Haslab project, the Engine of Vengeance, the Ghost Rider car, that unfortunately didn't get funded and caused a lot of controversy about people's opinions on prices and tiers and all of that kind of stuff, this particular Haslab project was quite anticipated to see what the team were going to do and see what was revealed. Personally, I think they've really knocked it out of the park this time. There's a couple of things that I do want to mention. So there is a lower backers count, so there's only 10,000 backers needed for this to be funded. It's a lower retail price. It's coming up at $199 or £200. The tiers aren't specifically the attractive element of the Haslab project. With the Engine of Vengeance, for example, the extra figures were really something that people were aiming for, and therefore it kind of took away a lot of the emphasis of the actual project itself, whereas the tiers in this one are really just little bonus things. They're not something to decide on whether you're going to fund it or not. And also the fact that it's tied in specifically with a whole wave of figures that they've recently done. The Avengers Beyond Amazing Wave has been released this year, and there's some really good 2-packs out there, and having Giant Man as part of that is really cool. The one thing that I am curious about is, will the packaging for the Giant Man coincide with the packaging from that Avengers Beyond Earths Mightiest? That would be very cool. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's talk a little bit about the details of this particular figure. So as I said a minute ago, we need 10,000 backers in the 45 days or the 46 days in order for this to back. At the time of filming, it was already over the 2,500 backers, so I'm pretty sure this is going to back, let's be honest. If they can hit sort of 2,500 within the first couple of hours, that's already a quarter of the way. So I'm pretty sure in the 45-day period, it's going to get backed. While we're talking about things being backed, let's just quickly mention the Star Wars Haslab, the Ghost, which needed a whole bunch of backers in order to fund all of the unlocked tiers, which were all carded figures that tied in specifically with the Ghost vehicle. So they were the Rebels cast, and it was the 3 3/4 inch mural card backs, and every single one of those got backed. There was a lot of movement in those last few hours, and I think it went up about 3,000 people, 3,000 backers in the last few hours, which is insane but really cool. I'm really happy for all of those people that backed it. Anyway, back to Marvel. 10,000 people in order for this to be funded. Now, I did say £200, but it's actually 199.99p, so £199.99 in order to back this, which is good for a number of reasons, because we'll get onto the tiers in a minute, but for the price point, for the same kind of money that people were looking at paying for the Engine of Vengeance, you could essentially back this twice and get 2 very large figures, which is really cool. Now, bizarrely, Hasbro has limited it to 5 per person, which is reasonable, I suppose. It is a 24-inch tall Giant Man figure, designed on his appearance in the early days, his original kind of Giant Man comic book costume. And the details on it look really nice. So from the video, from the live stream, it does look really nice. I'm not going to lie, it really does look like a good figure. It features 91 total points of articulation, including 29 points in each hand, which is really cool. Let's prepare ourselves for the wave of middle finger pictures that we are going to see of the fully articulated hands on Giant Man. They're classing it as an ultra articulated figure that is fully posable for the ultimate shelf display, which is quite cool. That's quite a cool way of selling it. And what I did like about this particular project is they kind of led into it with a number of action figure photography pictures. Now, I'm not 100% sure who it was that took the pictures. I'm sure they mentioned it on the live stream, but each one kind of led up to the Avengers battling a whole array of villains. And the last tease was the silhouette of Giant Man. And let's be honest, we all saw people editing the picture and including the shadow of something that wasn't there. But either way, jokes aside, it was a very good way of leading into the Haslab project and the Haslab reveal. And I think that it did create the buzz that was intended. I think that they wanted people talking about it. They wanted people sort of surmising about what it was going to be. And I think it did the job. He also comes with 2 different faceplates. So similar to how Galactus had removable faceplates, so does Giant Man, which is quite a nice little touch. So you have like a standard kind of vanilla pose, you have like a smirking pose, and you have like an angry pose. So as I said, this runs for 45 days, which takes us up to about October 24th, October 25th, somewhere around that mark. And with all Hasbro Haslab projects, at the time that the project closes, that is when people will be billed for it. So if you are back in the project, expect to pay out at the end of October for the item. It is the 60th anniversary of the Avengers, and in 1963 Hank Pym was one of the original founders of the team, so it's only right that we get him as a part of that anniversary wave. It's not really a wave, is it, because it's the Haslab project, but that wave of figures, that array of figures that we get this year. It's only right that we get Giant Man, because we've had all the others. We've had Iron Man, we've had Captain America, we've had Thor, we've had Hulk, we've had all of the rest of them, so it's only right that we also get Giant Man. Interestingly though, no sign of Wasp yet. After the project was announced, we did see the final 3 pieces of that part 1, part 2, part 3, etc. of 7. We saw those last 3 images, and I must really mark out for that final image that kind of smirking grin face with him holding the Ultron head in his hand is really cool. But basically it just kind of wrapped up the story of Giant Man coming in and saving the day. So there are only 2 tiers with this Marvel Legends Haslab project, which is quite interesting because previously we've had kind of 3, we've had 4, but there are only 2 tiers announced. Now, whether that means that there's going to be a 3rd tier that they announce if a lot of people do back it, that might happen, but maybe they are just sticking with the 2. The first of the 2 tiers is unlocked at 12,000, so that's 2,000 people over the minimum requirement. They need 10,000 to put the project into production. They need 12,000 to add the zombie face, which is pretty cool. And I think that it's probably my favourite of the faceplates that we've seen. But interestingly, we've not got any other Marvel zombie figures aside from those what if figures. So we got the what if Iron Man, the what if Scarlet Witch, and the what if Captain America. But we've not actually had any other Marvel comic zombies or any of the zombie comic run figures. The what if episodes were very different to the Marvel Zombies comic, so we've not actually had any of those. So whether that means that we've got some on the horizon, or whether they've just thrown in this faceplate so that if you want to display your figure with those what if characters, then you can. Either way, it's a zombie, and zombies are pretty cool. Now, 14,000 packers, which is 2,000 over the zombie facepaint, but 4,000 over the initial backing, you get a scroll. You get a scroll head. They did announce on the live stream that because of the ears and everything like that, this isn't a faceplate. This is actually an alternate head, which again is pretty cool. They've done a lot of scroll recently. There was the scroll 2-pack that we got as part of the Avengers wave. So to have a scroll Giant Man is pretty cool. These are 2 very different but not defining tiers. So If you're a fan of the Marvel zombies, then you can get a zombie faceplate. If you're a fan of Skrulls, then you can get a Skrull Giant Man. It also cleverly entices people to back more than one, because you could get 2 for £400 and have a Skrull Giant Man and have a regular Giant Man. So that's quite some clever marketing there. Now, he stands a nice 24 inches, which is 60 centimeters. Now, the regular figure is 6 inches, so to have a 24-inch figure, he is definitely head and shoulders and the rest above a regular figure. So he's kind of in proportion as to where he stands. But how does that size up with the previous Haslab projects? Well, the Galactus was 32 inches tall, so he is quite a considerable bit shorter than the Galactus figure. But that does kind of make sense because he's a lot cheaper. The Sentinel, however, was just over 26 inches tall, so he's not actually that much shorter than the Sentinel. So when I first heard the 24-inch kind of height, I thought, oh, it's going to be quite small in comparison. But when you actually think about how big the Sentinel is, he's actually only a couple of inches shorter than that. So he is going to be really quite big. But my initial thoughts is this is a good project and potentially a very good direction for the Haslab projects in general. If they did these big things for a nice amount of money with a minimum backer requirement, then I think a lot more people are going to get behind it. So this could open up a possibility for a lot of other oversized figures that people would like to have in their collection for an affordable amount. So yeah, £200, 10,000 backers for a 24-inch figure, not too bad. Anyway, I'll probably be staying on top of it over the next 45 days and doing some update videos. It doesn't seem as exciting to cover the kind of news of it, whereas with like the Galactus figure and with the Engine of Vengeance, it was very exciting in regards to the kind of comments that were going on the internet and the videos that Marvel and Hasbro were putting out to sort of entice and the things that are adding. Whereas with Giant Man, it's kind of like, you know what, this is what the product is, this is how much it's going to cost, these are the tiers you'll get if we get more than 10,000 people. What do you think? So it doesn't seem quite as exciting, but I'm sure over the next 45 days, I'll probably do another video at least to see where we go with it. But here's my prediction. It will 100% get backed. And I think if it exceeds the 14,000, I think there's a strong possibility that they might throw in a Wasp as an extra bonus figure. Just because we haven't seen her and she was one of the original Avengers. So come on, where's Wasp? Either way, thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and stuff. Put it in the comments. And of course, like, share, subscribe and all of those things. And until next time, I'll see you soon.